Well, I was turning 11 when we moved to Miami. Um, and my parents were actually from Cuba, and they came to Miami, and they weren't able to stay here. So they were given a choice to go to New York or Puerto Rico, and they chose Puerto Rico because my dad wanted to be an architect. So both my parents, my mom liked artwork, and my dad's an architect. So I grew up in that family, but they were not very Cuban, and they were not very Puerto Rican when they were there. I can still remember the three albums that played at our house were The Fifth Dimension, The Beatles, and Tom Jones. So my
Not very Puerto Rican.
my first real kind of like process with art was a trip we took to the United States, and that's when I went to that museum and saw the painting. Now, after that, when we go back, you know, I paint a couple of paintings, and I still have them, and they're horrible paintings because I had no skill whatsoever at 10 years old. But they're wonderful to me because they show a beginning, and they show kind of a person who was looking for something. Yeah. And then my parents noticed this, and then they said, well, we're going to take you to meet a friend of ours. And I met a, a sculptor by the name of Lopez Dirube. And he was just so different from everyone I ever met, you know, and he showed me how to kind of hold a gun and all kinds of, like, I'm a 10-year-old kid, and he's showing me all these things that are adult-like. And I just became enamored with what this picture of an artist is with him too. So there isn't like a visual recollection of Puerto Rican artwork or Cuban artwork that I grew up with. Actually, my base, my foundation is in what happened in the States during abstract expressionism. That's kind of where I go back to. So there's nothing, but there's a lot, because there's always that sense of it was just a country that we stayed at for a little while and then came here. But there's all these other experiences that I've had there that kind of feed the work that I make. But they were personal. They were, you know, things related to my past.